So first of all, I'm just going in with the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NW15, and I'm using the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush to apply it. I'm just applying this all over the lid, and then I'm going to blend it up into the concealer that I use to carve out my brows with, which is the same concealer. So the reason I'm applying this concealer is just a base for my eyeshadow, so that you've got a nice blank canvas to work on. And I'm also applying this underneath the eye as well, and bringing it quite far down because this is quite a smoked out look, so you want enough room to be able to blend your eyeshadows out with. I'm then taking the Zoeva 222 brush and just using a translucent powder just to set that concealer in place so that it doesn't crease. Then going in with the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette in Burnt Orange, that's the colour that I'm using, and using the Zoeva Luxe Crease brush, which is a 228, and I'm just applying that in circular motions into the crease just to build up a transition colour. You don't want to go in with too much colour to begin with, you want to build it up so that you have less product on your brush, so that you can build up that colour and not start out with too much, because it's easier to add more rather than take some away. So you just want to build that colour up, and then also apply it underneath the eye as well. Then going in with Real Gar from the same palette, I'm just using that to intensify that orange colour and just make that socket a bit more defined. Just making sure that you're blending out your edges and you've not got any harsh lines. By using circular motions, that's probably the easiest way to achieve that blended out look. And then just going back in that with that brush that I used for my concealer and just making sure the edges are all blended and that there's not any eyeshadow where it doesn't need to be. And then going in with Cypress Umber from the same palette and using the same brush, and I'm just applying that into the crease over those orange colours just to darken it up a bit so that you've got a nice blend between your lid colour and your transition colours. And I'm just going back in with the Real Gar colour just to make sure it's all nice and blended. Then for my lid colour, I'm using the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette, and I'm using the shade Punk, and I'm just applying this all over the lid with a Zoeva 234 brush. And I'm just patting it on and then applying it in circular motions up into that crease colour so that you've got a nice blend between your transition colours and your lid colour. I'm going back in with that blending brush and just making sure all the edges are nicely blended together. Then I'm using the Zoeva pencil brush, and I'm using that to apply that same Punk colour underneath the lower lash line, just to darken up the look a little bit. When doing a smoky look like this, you want to use the same colours that you have done on the lid as underneath as well. Then I'm going in with the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Black Bean, and I'm using this just to line the waterline. And then using that pencil brush again from Zoeva with a little bit of Urban Decay Blackout on, I'm just using that to set that waterline and just intensify the black a little bit more. Then going back in with that smoky shader brush from Zoeva, I'm using that just to apply a small amount of Urban Decay Blackout onto the lid, just to darken up that lid colour a little bit more and just make it a little bit more smoky. Then going in with the Rimmel Scandalise mascara in black and just applying a coat of mascara to my lashes. And the falsies I'm using are Tatty Lashes in the style L4. I'm just going to apply those to the lash line as close as possible so that you've not got any gaps or anything. I find a tip for applying lashes: if you look down into your mirror rather than looking straight ahead, it's a lot easier to apply lashes that way. And also if you use tweezers as well. Some people are kind of scared, but once you've used them a few times you'll be alright. Then using MAC Strobe Cream to prime my face, and I'm using the Real Techniques stippling brush just to apply that all over my face. It just adds a nice glow under your foundation. For foundation, I'm using the MAC Studio Fixing NW25, and the brush I'm using is the Zoeva Defined Bruffer brush, and I'm just using that to buff that into my face. I find that this brush is really good if you want a high coverage look. I suppose it depends what foundation you use, but if you're using a medium to full coverage foundation and you apply this using this brush, it really does give you a full coverage look, which is kind of what I was achieving in this video, because it's kind of like a night out or something like that. As you can see, this colour doesn't match my face because I've actually got tan on my chest, but I don't have any on my face. I'm then just using a Zoeva 227 brush just to buff that concealer into the smaller places around my eyebrows so that I don't smudge any of them. I'm just applying MAC Nylon as a highlight under my brow bone, and I'm also applying this into the inner corners as well. I'm then going in with NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Chantilly, and I'm just using this to highlight and conceal. Just applying this to the high points of your face, so your forehead, your nose, your chin, your cupid's bow, under your eyes, and I like to apply it underneath where my contour goes, just because I get quite a little bit of redness there, so just kind of cancels out that redness if I have any. It wasn't too bad today, but some days it can be quite red. So I'm just blending that out using the brush that I used for my foundation, and then going in with that smaller brush just to blend that into the eyeshadow so that you don't kind of pull any of it off with the larger brush. Can't speak today. And then just using the Rimmel Match Perfection powder. It's a loose powder, and I'm just using that to set my under eyes and around my T-zone with the Real Techniques setting brush. I'm going in with the Real Techniques Duo Fibre face brush, and I'm just applying a very small amount of that over my face just to set that in place. Then using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finishing Give Me Sun, I'm using this just to bronze up my face a little bit using the Zoeva 106 brush, which is like a powder brush. It's a nice big brush, so you can just give it like an all over bronze with it. I'm using the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette, and I'm using the middle colour. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but I'll link it down below. And I'm using the Zoeva 127 brush, which is like an angled contour brush. I'm just using this just to contour my face. And it's a really nice contour powder because it's not too ashy and it's not too like orangey, so it's just a really nice colour to use as a contour powder. Then using the Anastasia Glow Kit in That Glow, I'm using the two lightest shades with a Zoeva fan brush, and I'm just using that to highlight my face. Literally, this highlight just gives me life. It is amazing, especially like the lightest colour. It's just beaming. Like, especially under a ring light or natural daylight, it is amazing. I would highly recommend it. The other two darker colours I don't really use unless I'm using them on like darker skin clients. So yeah. Then for lips, I'm using MAC Strip Down Liner, and I'm just using this to line my lips. Everyone pulls that funny face, don't they, when they're applying the lip liner? I don't over-dry my lips too much, just a slight amount. Literally like just on the line.
That's good.
Then for lipstick, I'm using MAC Peach Stock lipstick, and this is like literally my new favourite lip combo like ever. It is amazing. So I'm just applying that all over the lips and just like blending it together. So yeah, that's the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next one.